This is known as a card dribble. It's by far one of the most visual classic card flourishes you can perform and is nowadays widely used in social media to create visual hooks. Hi, my name is Josep Vidal and I've been for more than 16 years learning and performing magic around the world. And in this video, I will share with you all you need to know to learn this move in no time. So if this sounds good to you, get your deck of cards, sit down, and let's get into it. Today I'm very happy to announce that we finally reached the 500 subscribers, which was the first milestone of this project. Thank you all so much for those who subscribe, for those who watch my tutorials to make this achievement possible. Now we're heading towards the 1000, so if you like magic, cardistry and performing generally, I recommend you to subscribe because the next videos I'll be posting I'm sure will be very interesting to you. So if you want to support the project, don't forget to give a like and subscribe for more content like this. Just for you to know what to expect from this video, here is a structure of it. As you can see, the video is divided in 3 parts, being the first one the before we start section, where I will share with you some relevant info and pro tips that will be useful not only throughout this tutorial, but also through the upcoming ones. Then we're going to move on to the tutorial itself, where I'll be sharing a step-by-step on how to perform this move. And finally, we're going to move on to the third part, which is the bonus section, where I'll be sharing some of the variations and personal moves I like to perform that will spice up this tutorial. So for those who want to jump straight into the tutorial, just before you go, let me recommend you first a deck of cards that is not too sticky or too old. The reason for that is that if you will go through the tutorial, you will notice that using a deck that is sticky or old will not be very good for you to follow all the steps and details I'll be sharing. So if you can, ideally get a brand new deck of cards or at least not very much use. So with that being said, let's move on now to the before we start section. I would like to start this section by emphasizing once more to follow this tutorial by using a deck of cards that is not too sticky or too old. The reason for that is that for most of the tutorials we require kind of a smooth finish that is normally present when the deck is brand new or not very much used. If you're wondering which is the deck of cards I'm using, as always is standard bicycle deck of cards. It's affordable and you can find it in any Amazon from, I would say, most of the countries. And as always, all the material I'll be using, in case you want to get it, will always be referenced down in the description. But if you don't have a bicycle deck or you cannot find it, no worries, you can also do it with other decks as long as they're brand new or not very much used. I would like to close this section by sharing with you which is the card dribble version you're gonna be learning in this tutorial. As you may saw in the intro, the one I'll be teaching is the card dribble from the corners, like this. From a beginner point of view, I think it's a lot easier to understand the mechanics and get the muscle memory required, because the classic version, which looks something like this, for me it's kind of tough, which is also one of the reasons why I'm not teaching it, because I'm not proficient at it. But I recommend you to first get this tutorial, try to understand the mechanics on how the card dribble works, and once you are familiar with it, you can move to the classic version, which leads you to get a more advanced moves, like for example, the famous Anaconda. So now that I shared all we need to know before we start, let's move on to the tutorial. To perform the card dribble, first we need to understand the role of both hands. So what I'm going to be doing is to break down the action from each hand to understand and grasp all the details, and then putting all together in a full picture so we can all understand how to perform the card dribble correctly. So starting by the hand that will initiate the card dribble, in this case my right hand, what we first need to understand is how we're gonna grab the deck. As you can see, the main 2 points in which the deck will be sustained is by the corners, in this case with the thumb and the middle finger. And here what we are going to involve also is the index finger, which we're going to talk about a bit later. But something I would recommend you with this grip, especially if you're a beginner or you've never performed this move before, is to avoid grabbing the deck like so, like getting the tips wrapping the card on the bottom. Because as in the card spring, this what does is to prevent us to get the cards free. Doesn't matter how much tension we apply, this part of the tip will be preventing us to get the cards free. So what we need to do here is to find a balance between what it would be a strong and consistent grip that will allow us to move the deck around without getting any cards shoot by accident, and also soft enough so whenever we apply a little pressure, the cards will start to get free and release like this. What I'm doing mostly is to retract my middle and thumb against the tip of the index finger. Here, as always, is one of the parts that does not matter how much information I give you. It is more kind of a feeling thing. You need to create this muscle memory and understand from your hand's point of view what is the ideal position for you to get the pressure and get it stable enough so you can control how the cards are getting released. Once you start to practice and understand the mechanics, in case creating tension with the whole deck, maybe it's too much for you because your fingers are not used to, so you haven't built the strength needed for it, I would recommend you, as I did in the riffle shuffle tutorial, to do this exercise. Instead of just getting the whole deck, just try to get half of it and go through all the details I shared, yeah, so you can understand in an easier way and not that demanding, because half of the deck will be a lot easier to dribble cards through, like so, until you eventually start to create the strength needed and the muscle memory needed, so you can add more cards until you eventually will end up doing it with the whole deck, like so. Something else I would recommend here is to keep in mind that it's important to build a constant rhythm, because if you not do it with the proper rhythm, it will start to look choppy, and that's not very good, because then it will not be stable, so you will not be able to do it in a whole sequence. So it's very important that you not only understand how it works, but also understand how the muscles should apply pressure in a constant and rhythmic way, so you get a stable and controlled card dribble. So now that we understand the role of the hand that will start the card dribble, let's talk about the hand that will receive the cards. If you saw my tutorial on how to do the card sprint, basically the role of the second hand is basically the same. We create a basket that will allow us to collect all the cards in a stable way, but not only that, also align them somehow in a way that whenever we recover the deck, it will be mostly, if not fully square, so we can smoothly transition to another move or whatever we are doing with the deck of cards in that moment. Here, what we're doing, as having as a reference what's known as a mechanics grip, is basically creating an exaggerated version of that grip, but adding the pinky in this position here. Because while the thumb and the other fingers are capturing the cards in a, let's say, in a horizontal way, then the pinky, what prevents the cards is to fall down from the hand. So we're not only getting it square from the sides, but also somehow vertically by putting our thumb as a stopper here. Something I would recommend you also to increase the chances for the deck to get squared a lot easier and get the cards aligned is to tilt the hand a little bit. So gravity will help us to get all the cards more or less in the same place. So as you can see, they're mostly aligned. So I just need to just turn it around, readjusting a little bit, and it's already square. So here it's very important, again, to understand how it feels or how we're gonna be doing the dribbles, so we can understand how we have to open the hand, how big it should be, and also here having in mind that the pinky will be very important to prevent the cards to spread around or to fall into the floor. So now that we understand the role of both hands, let's put everything together in sequence. Normally I will start with the mechanics grip, as it gives me the perfect position, so whenever I transfer, I'm already grabbing the deck in the way I should to start the card dribble. Once I'm ready, I position the hand that's going to receive the cards, a little tilt so the cards get squared properly, and from here retract my fingers against the tip of my index finger so the cards start to get free, and I'm dribbling through until I finish with all the cards. So in natural speed it will look something like this. I transfer, and then I'm going from down to up, as you can see, to create this nice stable looking cascade. Something I would recommend here to create a nice and aligned smooth cascade is to first, once you get confident with applying pressure with the fingers, understand how your hand is going from up and down. Because basically what you need to draw is not a perfect, but a very well straight line from down to up. Something I will recommend you here to have more control of the cascade and at least make the things easier in the beginning is that instead of creating the cascade from down to up, as I'm doing now, is to start it from up to down. But what's going down is not the hand that's creating the dribble, it's the hand that is receiving them. So here, what I'm starting is from a higher point. So what I'm doing basically is to dribble the cards while the receiver hand is going down. So my right hand in this case will never move, so I can concentrate on making a consistent and rhythmic dribble. But what is really catching or creating the cascade is the distance I'm building up with the receiver hand by separating them. This is the easiest approach on how to create a nice looking cascade, at least in the beginning, but something you will have to learn eventually is how to consistently dribble the cars while creating a straight vertical line that will allow the cars to fall rhythmically and land as they should, to then square the deck and continue. So these are all the steps and details you need to know to learn how to do the card dribble. If you have any doubts or comments about it, please don't forget to use the comment section, as I will be very happy to assist you throughout the learning process. And now that we know how to do the card dribble, let's go to the bonus section. In this bonus section, I'll be sharing with you the personal way in which I perform the card dribble whenever I create content for social media. It could be for reels, for short, doesn't matter, because I'm aiming to create not only what could be called as a visual hook, but also something that will create a sound, because from my point of view, it's the perfect starting point for me to not only retain their attention, but also to introduce the topic I want to show them. So to do this card dribble, it's basically the same, but we are adding a snap sound that from my point of view looks very cool also. And to do it, there's no difficulty or extra thing that I need to show you. It's just keep in mind a couple of details that I'll be explaining right now. So if you know how to do the card dribble, basically the sequence is all the same, but what we're doing here when we start in the card dribble is to go fast enough to create a packet that will be for us heavy enough. We will feel it by the weight in our receiver hand. So once we have that packet and we have enough distance, then what we do is to continue dribbling. Sorry, in slow motion it's hard, but we continue dribbling, and what we do is to get two packets getting hit together at the same time we collect the whole thing. So in real time, in sequence, we'll look something like this. Yes, sometimes it's not perfect because sometimes I do a huge snap, some other times it's not that noticeable, but that's why I can do it in a video as many times as I want till I get the perfect one. But it's very important to keep in mind that we need to do it fast enough and build enough distance, which doesn't have to be much, just enough. So whenever we collect the rest of the cascade, we just let the top packet go and creating this snap sound that looks very cool. So again, in sequence will be something like this. Something I noticed while doing this tutorial is that the more vertically you hit the packets together, of course without putting your fingers in between or something that will prevent the packets to hit properly, is that the more vertical you make them hit, the louder the snap sound will be. So that was the tutorial. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy it. And if so, please don't forget to give a thumbs up. This will help me a lot. And if you're liking this type of tutorials, please consider subscribing, as I'll be uploading many tutorials that will go from basic to intermediate to more advanced. And not only that, also content that will be related to performing, magic, and other disciplines that I'm sure you'll be interested in. So now if you want to keep learning with me, I'll let you hear this super cool tutorial that I'm sure you will enjoy. And again, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.